Finally, we was back at home. Felt good. First of many in 2025 at the crib.
Feels good to be home. Feels good to be home. Get this dub. Important one. Excited to defend home court.
Great dub, fellas. Great dub. Great dub.
Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for another Believe in Hawks episode. Hawks beat the Suns tonight, 122-117, and obviously home is sweet. Everybody loves coming home, and obviously had to bring one of the homies home to the Believe in Hawks podcast. Chris Tipmore, you might know A1forever. You might have seen his content on YouTube. Kind of see him on social media, man. Talk about this win for the Hawks. How you doing today, man?
Hey, man, every day is a great one, especially after a Hawks win like that, you know what I'm saying, getting off the schneid and taking care of business at home. Like you said, home cooking does well, and it did well for the Hawks tonight, man. Happy to be on the platform with you.
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate you coming back on, man. It's been a second for sure, man. But yeah, man, the Hawks, like I said, man, you know, Hawks had their game postponed against Houston because of the icy conditions from the winter weather that Atlanta received. So that gave the Hawks more days off, which the last game was the Suns in Phoenix. So you could look at this as a home and away back-to-back set now, technically within the schedule with a long break in between. And obviously right before the game tonight, DeAndre Hunter ruled out with a foot soreness. Obviously, some people ask, well, how do you get hurt when you're not playing? And it's like, guys, they practice too. Things happen.
He went out there and played in the snow, man. It's okay.
Hey, you never know, man. Could have slipped wrong way or whatever. But yeah, so he missed tonight, and obviously a lot of people worried, like, all right, we're down Jalen, we're down Hunter. It doesn't look good. Hawks tonight got key contributions from multiple guys. Trae Young, 43 points in this game, had to lead the charge for this team, playing full quarters. I mean, he basically had to, you know, really put the team on his back to just give them a shot in this game, but they got key contributions. Vic Krejci, 15 points tonight, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He's done more offensively for the Hawks during the last few games, which I think is huge. Okongwu with a 20-20 game, 22 points, 21 rebounds, a big game for him tonight. And then Garrison Matthews with 19 off the bench as well. Chris, what are your takeaways from tonight's win over the Suns, and what do you think propelled the Hawks to victory?
Oh, man, it's got to be the engine of Trae Young and Okongwu. Like, those two guys were stellar tonight. That's the Okongwu like we want to see. That's the guy that, you know, that's going to get the boards. It's going to be aggressive. I believe Onyeka was very aggressive tonight. And honestly, even though it was snow and the game got postponed because it needed to, that rest really helped the Hawks coming off of that road trip, man. It really did. I feel like, you know, Onyeka looked like he had good legs tonight. Like you said, Trae, he had to do his thing. He had to go out and score, so he didn't have like a ton of assists like he's used to. But the thing about it is he showed you that he can still go out there and produce. Garrison Matthews, I believe he had 19, but his 14 in that first half, man, it was just so big for us because he did that in only 10 minutes of play. So, like, man, the thing about only 10 minutes and dropping 14 off the bench, yeah, I'll take that, man. Definitely take that. And I was one of those guys who was worried about Dre Hunter and being out, and you're missing JJ. You got the Suns coming in, you know, they got that big three. And once they get to going, it's hard to stop them, man. But of course, the Hawks, again, they're a different team this year. I mean, Bryce, you tell me if I'm wrong. I think when Trae has to have like a 40-point game like this, last year, the Hawks don't win this game, I don't believe.
Mm-hmm. Yo, you're right. I mean, especially just because of how they were defensively last year and how they were, it just wasn't a great matchup. And one of the key things tonight that I think helped was usually this Suns team goes as the big three goes. Obviously, this game, you still get a good game from KD and Booker just because that's them. But really the key for them is Bradley Beal. In the first game against the Hawks, he had 25 points. Obviously, when all of them are playing well, that's a really hard team to beat. Tonight, he only had 11. That's a big difference. That's 14 less points he's giving them. And then the Hawks were able to get key contributions from different guys in this game, and I think that was really huge under the Suns. So I think the team, obviously, like I said, especially if you remember when JJ and Hunter were out, or even when one of them was out, This team nosedived just because they just didn't have the players behind them who could step up. And now, like I said, you're getting those contributions. Obviously, when you have injuries, guys have to step up. Getting what you got from Krejci tonight was huge. Because, like I said, one of my biggest things with Krejci is he does a lot of good things. But the thing is that he's only sometimes give you 2 points. And it's like, if you just get more offense from him, that's how Krejci will stay in the rotation. Because now he's providing offense with the passing and the defense he brings. Garrison Matthews has
very
been pivotal for this Hawks team with his 3-point shooting. 19 points for Garrison Matthews. And they've documented for the Hawks how he's continued to work on his game, working on being able to drive to the paint if they take the 3 away and still be effective so he can stay on the floor, especially on a night where you don't have DeAndre Hunter. Who was going to make that up? It was Garrison Matthews. So,
and he had nearly almost half of the points that he had on the road trip. He only had 50 points on the road trip. He had 19 tonight. So again, that's why I say that rest and also that home cooking, I think it would actually play a part into this game, seriously. And you had to have it.
Definitely. And it's one of those things, again, especially going against the Suns. Usually these are offensive games. You needed that offense tonight to really take you to the next level. So, right now, I think I mentioned this. I feel like some people coming out of that road trip, obviously not feeling great, felt like it wasn't a great 2 weeks of Hawks basketball. I think I have a feeling some people think this team's just going to collapse at some point, and then especially with the injuries,
they waiting on it. Don't get me wrong. People are waiting on it. I know they are.
Oh, absolutely. And so, but they're 20-19 right now, and some people thought the Hawks wouldn't be here right now. Some people didn't think that. So
a lot of people didn't think that.
What have you seen? Obviously, yes, the Hawks are not great when they don't have Jalen, and especially when they don't have Hunter. But they, like you said, they wouldn't win games like this last year. They can win games like this year. What have you, I guess, seen in just games in general when they lose one of those guys, especially in some of the wins that has carried over throughout the season, and you feel like these are things that make me confident, hey, compared to last year, the depth is better this year. Because I think that was the big thing, was the depth. When you lost guys, you didn't really have guys who could replace it. Now, again, you're losing your better players. Obviously, there's going to be some type of drop-off in certain games. But getting what you got tonight from the other guys, can you just talk about what that means for this team just to stay afloat?
Well, I mean, it's big. It really, you can say it's huge for them because, again, we've been talking about it multiple times now. The Hawks don't win a game like this. So, since the Hawks have more grit this year, and some people will say it's because we have the great barrier thief. And I think that is credit to that, but it's just so good to see it like team effort from everybody. Mm-hmm. And when one guy goes down, it's okay because we got guys, like you said, we got the depth that can back up these guys when they do miss games. And it will be some drop off, but the thing about it is it's always fight. I'm always going to credit to the Hawks fight, something that they did not have defensively last year. And then even just like the timely possessions and the timely scores. We've seen that tonight. We've seen plenty of times it was breakdowns defensively by the Phoenix Suns, and the Hawks were able to take advantage of that and continue like to push away, even in the third quarter when KD was on one. And boy, was he on one, in that third quarter. The Hawks lost the lead in the third quarter. But what did they do? They persevered. Normally, Bryce, those games in the past years, we'll have that lead. We'll lose that lead, and we would not get it back. This year, it's a totally different thing. The Hawks can lose a lead, and I still believe that they have the wherewithal, they have the fight, the grit that they've shown all year to come back like they did tonight and still be able to win the game. That's what I'm saying. Like in years past, that never happens. I'm sorry, it just does not. But with this year's Hawks, with Quinn Snyder being able to have his hand on this team, the training staff and the coaching staff being able to have their hands on the team, players buying into what Quinn and the coaching staff has prepped for them, and the guys just generally working well with one another. I'm telling you, man, this team can go anywhere, man, once they really just put it all together, because they're still a young team. It's going to be some bumps and bruises along the way, as we've already seen. But the main thing is when we're healthy and where we're a full squad this season, man, we're a force. And even when we're not, we're still being like a wounded animal in a way. You can still go out there and produce. And that's what you're seeing from these guys. That's why you get 19 from Garrison, 15 from Vit Krejci, and have a big game, 20, 22, and 21 from Onyeka Okongwu, man. And the thing about it is 11 of those was on the defensive end too. So it's just like they're taking away possessions. And if Phoenix didn't be able to get out in the run like they did, they didn't have as many fast break points as they did. Honestly, the Hawks rout them. So that's another thing too, man, because that first half, brother, that was like some of the best defensive I can say defensive prowess that I can see from the Atlanta Hawks, and really since the last time they've been at home. So
yeah. I mean, honestly, couple of stories in the stats kind of tell the story of this game. Hawks won the 3-point battle tonight by 4, and they won the free throw battle by 1. Hawks ended up winning by 5. Combine that all together, that's 5. Hawks also tonight usually a team on a normal basis, usually around 30 assists, right? They have 22 tonight. So obviously it's a bit of a different game, as you mentioned. Trae Young, 43, 5 assists. You know, sometimes that happens when you got to go ultra aggressive. Hawks tonight dominated on the boards, 54-37, 20 offensive rebounds to 6. That's where I think they really were able to take advantage of this game, because the Suns have very, very
we lost the rebounding battle in Phoenix.
Yeah. And they have suspect center play, and so the Hawks should be able to win that. And like we mentioned, Okongwu was a big part of that. 28 minutes tonight, 22 points, 21 rebounds. Just a very big part of what they did tonight. Had the second highest plus-minus on the team tonight. Can you just talk about what you saw from Onyeka tonight?
Man, like I said, that was big. That's the Onyeka Okongwu you want to see. That's the 00 that you drafted. That's the guy that, you know, coming into the season, we were asking, could he go ahead and take the starting center spot from Clint Capella? But my thing is, with performances like this, that's where those chatters like that can start, you know, picking back up again. But of course, it's got to be consistent. Onyeka, he's got to stay healthy. You know, he's had the toe thing, and that's something that you're always worried about, because you're wondering if he's going full strength, if he's going 100%. Even if he's 70%, you know, he still got to run out there because we're missing Larry Nance Jr. So again, tonight was very encouraging. The snow really helped Atlanta again, because you're having the extra days of rest. And I believe, you know what I'm saying, like the losing streak ended where it began, and that was with Phoenix.
Yeah. And, you know, I think too, for Onyeka, like I said, he's faced a lot of criticism from people. Obviously, with the way they have their center position, there's just certain guys who are better for certain matchups and do certain things. Obviously, you know, that makes a difference. I think against Utah, Clint had a really good game, especially finishing around the rim. Obviously, that's not something you get from Clint a lot. He's more of a guy who you're looking at for the shot blocking and the rebounding, and Onyeka is there more for the scoring because of his offensive touch around the rim and the ability to hit a 3 every now and then. So to see him come out like this and play like this was really encouraging. And we've seen Onyeka have these types of performances. This isn't
not new.
Yeah, it's not new for him. It's just something that on a consistent basis he doesn't do. And obviously, I don't know, like you said, is it because of the toe? I think he had knee inflammation that he missed a few games based off that. So obviously, it's a long season. Sometimes things flare up. You play a game, man, my shoulder hurt. That's kind of what's happening with Jalen right now. Kind of just having pain in his shoulder, so they're trying to make sure he's good, because you don't want that to turn to something more serious and things of that nature. So when guys like Onyeka step up, it really just elevates this team. Because like I said, when you're down guys, you need other guys to step up, and Onyeka stepped up in a really, really big way tonight. And you
love to see it, because you didn't get, honestly, let's just be honest, Bryce. I mean, outside of Trae, Onyeka, Vit, and Garrison, it wasn't a whole lot of offense for the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, we even talk about Clint Capella. He's not, you know, it's an offensive
tonight for Clint.
Yeah, but only 3. But the thing about it is, even the things that he does well, like the rebounds, you know, he was only able to notch you 8, and blocks, he was only to give you 1. So it's just like, honestly, Onyeka, again, we have to go right back to him, because if he doesn't have the performance as he has, the Hawks still lose this game.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. People were asking. I think Kong was playing a stretch, and he came out for Clint, and then people were like, "Why why is he not in the game? It's like, well, you can't have him play 21 straight minutes.
Man.
So, like, you got to at some point.
People think the man is a machine. The man already don't have knee inflammation and a toe injury. You want him to go 21 minutes straight.
Yeah, it's crazy sometimes what some people expect from those guys. Can you talk about Vic Krejci a little bit here?
Okay.
Like I said, his offense has started to come around the last few games, even during the road trip. He's been hitting threes a little bit more, providing more offense for them. Can you talk about maybe how big that can be, especially with all the other stuff he does?
Well, see, with Veet, man, I think he's getting quality minutes because we do have guys out, like even tonight, so with JJ and Dre being gone, right? He was able to go 6 for 9. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was efficient tonight. 15 points. I be getting on the Veet a lot because I feel like he's very passive. And don't get me wrong, he's a team player, utility guy, does so much on the offensive and defensive ends, the little things that matter. Yes, but it's so many times where I'd be like, Veet, shoot the floater, Veet, take the shot and everything. But having to play more minutes over the road trip and including tonight, I believe Veet is starting to kind of get into a rhythm because he's getting that constant playing time, and the Hawks are starting to reap from the benefits of it, especially being at home tonight. And you just seen it, man. Again, being efficient. He was confident, even in the fourth quarter. That big three that he hit, it was a confident three. And I feel like if he hasn't had the reps that he had previously on the road trip, I don't think Vic Krejci takes that shot right there. For an example. So the confidence, from a confidence standpoint, is beautiful to see because, like Veet, he's very passive. He's a teammate. He's gonna help move the ball. But I actually love to see that he is able to score because we're gonna need it. We're gonna need stuff like this until we get all our guns back. We're gonna need Veet Krejci. We're gonna need Garrison Matthews and so forth.
Yeah, and I think too with Vic, it's one of those things too where I've kind of said, like I mentioned with the scoring, this is why I think even through the injuries and everything, the Hawks have a development plan in place, and they want all their guys through any reps they can get to improve, get playing time, get more used to taking certain shots, making certain plays, getting more comfortable within certain roles. And I think, sometimes the only way you could do that is playing. But if a player doesn't play, he's not just going to randomly just start coming in there and jacking up shots because we've heard players say you're always scared. Am I going to get yanked? Is the coach going to pull me out? And even though Quinn has been very adamant about telling any guy he brings out there, hey, shoot, if you got it, take it. Don't be afraid. Even though you hear it from your coach, you're still in the back of your head, just kind of, you hesitate. Just because it's almost like, are you sure? Are you sure you want me to start doing that? And I think, especially if the shot isn't falling a little bit, it's like, you maybe missed 2. All right, let me stop shooting because I don't want to go 0 for 6 and other people are like, don't play this man again. So
yeah, sit him down now.
Seeing Vic be more aggressive has just been really good. And I think it creates an interesting question for Quinn when we get healthy because he made an interesting decision. I don't know if you remember the Laker game. They didn't play great to that game, I believe. I believe they what they did was because they ran 9 guys. And they had Dyson play backup point, and then they had Garrison. They played Garrison. And it was interesting because I was like, that's the first time they've done that, with that. Because I've said they've kind of defaultly made Dyson the backup point guard because I think they feel like the most productive backup point guard minutes we get is with Dyson, which I can probably agree probably is true, even though some people aren't in love with the idea. It is true. And I also say Dyson plays differently when he plays point than he's playing the 2. He's more aggressive when he's playing from the point spot. And when they get back to being at full strength, you have a question of, okay, if Vic's playing this way, it feels like what he brings you need to keep out there. But at the same time, one of the reasons why you have Garrison, who's also played well, is for that shooting, which is something people have said have slacked. But if Vic Krejci continues to shoot well, you can now maybe say, okay, we don't have to play Garrison because Krejci is giving us offense. And so I'm curious to see what that's going to look like, especially if Dyson is going to potentially man the backup point guard spot. Thoughts?
That's tough, brother. And I'm gonna say because I believe Garrison Matthews has earned his keep as well. Now, yeah, he did have a rough go at it on the West Coast, but I mean, just you've seen it again, just in that first half alone. He coming off the screens, he'll be able to hit the three. He's able to if he's able to knock down a three consistently, I don't see how in the world you can keep a knockdown shooter off the floor. Even with Veet doing the things that he's doing, that's fine. And you're definitely going to find minutes for him. And you're going to have minutes for Dyson, of course. But I don't think you have to force the issue to like not play Garrison. Garrison has earned his minutes, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. He really has. And I believe keep going forward. If he's having the games like this, 19 points, 25 points, it's a few games where if you don't have Garrison Matthews out there, you really still lose. Even again, if he doesn't have his production tonight, you can make an argument that the Hawks will have to try to find it in other places. Maybe Trae will have to go for 48 or 50 points. You know what I'm saying? To try to match that. But Garrison Matthews has earned his time, man. I do feel what you're saying, and I do see where you're coming from. But if I haven't seen what Garrison can be and Garrison has done, then I would feel differently. But I would say that maybe you could run Garrison a little bit more than you can run Bogey. I'd be open to that idea.
Hey,
what do you think about that?
I mean, I've talked about on the pod about that discussion because people are like, "Oh, we should just trade Bogey because we have Garrison and things like that." And I've said that I get it. First thing first, Bogey has a lot of trust from the coaching staff, a lot of trust, not a lot of belief in him because they know what he can do. I think also, I've said with Bogey, he can do a little bit more than Garrison from a perspective of he can handle the ball a little bit. He can help set some things up. He does a little bit of other things that they would like that Garrison really isn't. Like, he's not a ball handler. He's not setting people up. He's pretty much a guy who's trying to be set up. He's not the one setting people up. Where Bogey can technically run it, and I know they feel comfortable running sometimes that Dyson Bogey lineup without a point guard on the floor because of that. So, again, it kind of just depends on what he feels like they need. Because, like I said, Laker game, they went with Garrison and took Krejci out the lineup and went with shooting in that game. And so, and obviously since Jalen's been out, they haven't been able to actually see if we're going to consistently see that. Because he probably was like, let me see something. And like I said, with them both playing well, is it a situation that you even just kind of say, matchup, maybe the type of game, maybe first half I go with Garrison, and then I see what type of game it's becoming. We might need that length in that defense. And then you go to Krejci in the second half. Do you become flexible like that? It's one of those things where, with Bogey, I just think they believe he will be a big hit. The Bogey's value will come to the head when they need him most. I think obviously he's had the injuries. He's been the most in and out of the lineup out of all the Hawks to me. He has been obviously started. He's been the one who stuck out like a sore thumb because you could tell he's not on the same page completely like everyone else. And that's due to loss of time. And so I really just think they think at some point Bogey's going to break through. And he's had some games here or there where he's played well because you always know what he can do with the ball. Because obviously he's willing to attack the rim and hit a mid-range, even though I always like to say he's the funniest player in the league because he'll be open, wait for the defender to get to him, then pull up.
And then pull it.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. He just likes, I guess, taking contested shots. I don't know, but
he just be so locked in. I think it's a part of mechanics, man. Because you see when he catches the ball, even when they're running at him, he's just already in his mechanics, and and as long as it can leave his hand, it don't matter how close you get to it. That thing can, he can splash on you.
Yeah.
And but. See, now recently, and it's all how it is. What have you done for me lately? So of course we know that Bogey's not 100%. Even I still don't even think he's 100% right now. I think he's probably like 80 at best. But I will say because people are like they're looking at it like, okay, well he's not really scoring like that. But he did just have 17 against Phoenix in Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? And then he did have 11 the game before that. But I know that they're honing on the fact that he only had 9 tonight. But the games before that, he only had 5. He only had 7. Then he missed time on top of that. And then you're seeing guys like Garrison, Beat getting their time, their playing time, and they're actually making the most of it for the most part. You start seeing that, and you have fans like, hey, Bogey, I mean, you is 31 bit, dog. You do be getting hurt. You are.
He played one more minute than Bogey tonight.
Right. But to your point, Bogey can do more than what Garrison can do when it comes to putting the ball on the floor. And that right there is something that's going to keep Bogey, I believe, that, and of course the trust with the coaching staff. Those things, that him being able to do more things than Garrison. Now, if Garrison just all of a sudden start pulling out, crossing people up or something like that, Bogey, you may be in trouble, big dog. But until that day comes, if that day ever was to come, I think Bogey is still kind of safe. I think they still have so much trust in Bogey. And to your point, what he can do with the basketball, put it on the floor, and of course, and being the sniper that he is. So I understand what the fans are coming from. I do see it myself, but I just think Bogey has too much equity within the team and the coaching staff, to be traded just like that off, just to be kicked off like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think obviously, trade deadline is going to come. So we're going to hear rumors heat up as we get closer to that. And so that's just going to be part of it really in this league and what you go through the news cycles and things of that nature. It's funny. So he didn't do anything tonight offensively, Devin Rodney.
Yeah.
It's funny. I want to make this point because I haven't done a pod since I haven't done a pod since maybe Clipper game. No, Utah game. I haven't done a pod since Utah game. So I just want to get your thoughts on this, and I'll make my point real quick.
Okay.
So I say, everybody hates Devin Rodney, right? They think he's the worstest player ever, right? He's not
really?
an NBA player. They think a lot of people don't think he's an NBA player, right?
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
And I've said that offensively, he's an NBA player. I think there has been many games this year where he'll come in and play 11 minutes and give you 10 points.
Yeah.
The issue is that he's awful defensively and doesn't help them at all defensively.
So
I think people see that and they're like, he's the worst player ever. And then when he has nights where he doesn't score, it's like he's unplayable, right?
Right.
Because we forget last Phoenix game, he had 11 points, 10 points in the first quarter.
Right.
But
he did that in 7 minutes.
Exactly. But again, people were like, we can't be playing Rodney minutes, right?
Right.
What are your thoughts been on David Roddy as a player this year? Because I feel like he's definitely one of those players that I think every team always has a player that you hate, and I think David Roddy is the Hawks player of the year that they don't like.
That's crazy, man. David Roddy, man. David Roddy, man, he's taking advantage of his opportunities. He's really been one of those players. And again, yeah, he didn't score tonight, but my goodness, it's when he plays, he normally produces. Now, again, yeah, he don't give you much on that defensive end. You kind of got to, you don't want him and Trae on the floor at the same time because it's who the heck do you hide? But it's, but seriously though, man, David Roddy this year has shown that he can be an NBA player. It's kind of hard to see where you can play him on the defensive end because of his stature, but the man can score. The man, he can get points. He's optimistic, and around the rim, I believe he's able to get rebounds, timely rebounds, where you just be like, where the world David Roddy just come from? The next thing you know, he putting back up a shot, or Trae will find him. Veet will find him, somebody who of the ball handler is, even Dyson, they'll find him, and then next thing you know, he knocking down the three. Was it the Phoenix game or was it the Utah game where where he just came in and knocked down 2-3 threes at a time, and then it was just instant offense, and you needed it at that time to kind of keep you in the game. You again, the depth, you got to go back to it, brother, the depth, and he's a part of it, and being able to have a player like him to normally come in and score for you, normally put up points for you. I think that's a good luxury to have. Everybody can hate on him all they want to, man, but I like the fact that we do have a player like Roddy who is a little unorthodox, like I said, with his stature, but at the same time, he can be a mismatch on the other end against certain matchups as well. Getting that open three, because just imagine if he wasn't knocking down those open shots, how you would really feel about him,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Just a quick point to bring up and everything like that. And like I said, the Hawks, tonight needed everything they could get from all their contributors. Like I said, Trae Young leading that charge tonight. And I feel like we haven't had that. We've had 30-point Trae Young games. I don't think we've had a 40-point Trae Young game this year. I think it's the first one of the year for him.
No, this is his first one of the year.
Taken more of a pass first approach, so we haven't gotten those types of games as much. He's hit like 3-game winners this year. Right. But, he hasn't had the big offensive game. And I've always said sometimes, I think people want Trae to come out and just kind of have that mindset of like, I'm
tonight.
Because I said Trae has sometimes paced himself in these games where he'll kind of have like maybe 14 in the first half, and in the third quarter, he's like, all right, let me be aggressive. Then he'll have like an 11-point third quarter. I'm a little bit more aggressive, kind of keeps the team afloat. He's getting more aggressive with his offensive opportunities and then kind of fills the game out. I think that's kind of one of his next big steps is just to fill the game out more. To kind of figure out, hey, if I'm going to be more of a facilitator to help my teammates, I have to learn how to pick my spots better. Right. It's not going to be from first, second, third, fourth, be aggressive every single quarter. And
of course, as you've seen, we don't always get the quality whistle either.
Yeah. So. I mean, listen, we can get in the refereeing all the time, and I mean, just some of
that's a whole other show, but
atrociousness that we've seen from these calls. But can you just talk about a little bit about Trae's performance? Because like I said, this was he hasn't had a performance like this in a minute,
right?
Where he just was like, I'm taking shots, I'm being aggressive. I know my team needs this from me to have a chance tonight.
Well, when you think about it, Bryce, it's a good thing that we're not always having those type of games, because we've had games to where Trae scored like this and we've lost. Remember, we had a game to where him and DeJounte scored 40 and we lost. So it just
was that the famous Houston game?
That was the famous Houston game.
Where you got
yes, Hawks trivia. You are the winner. No, seriously, man. So we've seen games like that, man. And it was so crazy, saying just real quick, I remember all the showboating and everything we were doing that game. Yes, and then just to lose that game. But yeah, in this particular game, though, man, Trae had to go after it. And I believe Trae knew that from the beginning. And honestly, when Trae hit that step back three on KD to start the game, I believe it was like one of those things for me. I was like, okay. Yeah, he knows the assignment. He knows exactly what he needs to do. He's got to come out here and be aggressive, but he's still got to be a leader at the same time. And shoot, he didn't have a lot to work with out there outside of Onyeka. And Onyeka, he picked his spots tonight, because there was a few times where he picked up some garbage points. But back to Trae, man, I like the fact that we don't have to always see a 40-point game from Trae Young. I enjoyed the fact that he is being a point guard. Some people are actually saying he's becoming a point guard. I'm like, But but he's being a point guard. He's being a facilitator. He's trusting his teammates. I believe it's in the long run, that's going to be the way that Trae is going to be able to win consistently, because we know what you can do. Bro, you've been in the league 6 years tearing it up offensively. We already know what you can do there. This year, we're seeing that the fact that he can be the real facilitator, something. And again, like, people are who don't know about Trae Young, they don't know that his favorite thing to do is to pass. Like, he can score, he's a scorer, but his favorite thing to do coming into the league was to pass. And to see him on recent interviews and people saying, what do you think has been, seeing the contribution to this year and everything, is just like, brother, if you knew Trae Young, you knew he loved to pass. He loves to pass. He's just a guy that can score as well. And tonight, he just flipped on that switch for us. And you love to see it, that he does have that ability, because just imagine how it would have been if he was playing like passive Trae, so to speak, and wasn't able to go out there and have this offensive onslaught like he did tonight, bro. So we got to appreciate these performances when he does have them, but let's be thankful for the times where we're fully healthy And we got guys like JJ to go to, Dre to go to, Dyson, and so forth and so have you. So, but shout out to Trae, man. Salute to him. He's really been on one, really, when you think about it, really since like mid of December, though, man. You think about it, since mid of December, like people are going to say about the 3-point numbers and, you know what I'm saying, and about just really the field goal percentage, you know what I'm saying, sometimes. But just think about his timeliness, the situational things, you know what I'm saying. He's still working out, you know, taking certain threes and everything. But overall, Trae is playing some good basketball, man. I mean, think about that game winner against Utah. Hey, you think about, you know what I'm saying, how he's played on the played and kept us in each and every game, you know, so getting the teammates involved and then, you know what I'm saying, dropping 43 on Phoenix's head, and we needed every last point.
Yeah, definitely. And to
Yeah.
add to that, you know, just Trae coming out there. I mean, even during the West Coast trip, majority of those
Mhm.
games, Trae was having 20, 30-point games. I mean, he was giving them what they needed offensively. It was just one of those things you didn't get from the other guys. And so I think just he's continuing that and just continuing to move forward and getting the time to get himself right and get himself ready to go as he continues to lead this team moving forward. Before we get to my last thing in the show, a couple of Hawks notes. Quinn Snyder talking about Jalen Johnson today, saying he's progressing and they're hoping to have him back soon. Don't know what soon is, but I mean, it seems like they think maybe even within a week or two, Jalen should be able to hit the floor again for the team. Obviously, when the Hawks are at full strength, they can compete with a lot of teams in the league. They've shown that as well. And then speaking of other teams in the league, Hawks, Cavs have been moved. The next matchup has been moved to prime time.
Yeah.
So obviously the league said we need to see the Cavs and Hawks play again. But this time everybody can see, since, you know, right now we're looked at as the Cavs kryptonite since we beat them twice this season already. So obviously big things there for the Hawks. Next game, we are playing the Chicago Bulls. By the time it's recording, that's technically today. So we play the Bulls. That's been a thorn on the Hawks side. Obviously, the last time they played them, they had that amazing comeback in Atlanta. But outside of that, the Bulls pretty much have outplayed the Hawks for the majority of these games. The Bulls play a system that I think the Hawks struggle with, which is a very fast pace, up and down, get shots up. Hawks struggle to defend that. Zach LaVine's had big games against them.
They shoot a lot of threes over there with the Chicago. I believe they're like right behind Boston, so that's another thing too, as far as like 3-point attempts. So they play that fast pace, which is which is kind of similar as far as, like, you know what I'm saying, pace and tempo like the Hawks do, but they get up a lot of shots. Shots. And the Bulls are. It was so funny. People were telling me some not named Boston. What team are you worried about in the East? And I'm like, for the Hawks, the Bulls. I said that on another. No, seriously, I said that like a month ago on another live stream, man, because they've had our number, man, and I was so happy to finally get a win against them, because I thought coming into that game we lost like 5 out of the last 6 or something like that. Man, it's just the Bulls have been our kryptonite.
The Bulls have played well recently. They've beaten some good teams recently. They're a team that's they kind of remind me of Indiana of last year, except Indiana was a bit better defensively, because Indiana was a team that scored 130, 140 points.
Right.
And everything like that.
We know about it.
Basically trying to replicate that. That's why they're so up and down, where they'll beat some really good teams, but they'll also lose to other teams, because it's just, it depends on the shots falling. And it fell against the Hawks a lot. It's just luckily in that last game in the fourth quarter, it didn't. And the Hawks shots fall. And I remember Hawks, I think second, third quarter had a shot like 60, 70%. It still lost the quarter because of how hot they were shooting. So obviously this is a back-to-back. So they're going to Chicago. You know, obviously you could have had 2 cold games. You only had 1, but you're going back on the road for a 3-game road trip. So they're going to be on the road for another throughout the weekend, basically. How are you feeling going into that game against Chicago? And you just like, what are you thinking? Because obviously be good to be able to get that win, because you have the Celtics and Knicks after that.
Whoo, boy, some big games, man. Big games. And you need to set the tempo for yourself. This is going to be another important stretch, because the Hawks don't have many home games in January anyway. This is the month that we like travel the most.
Actually 3 more left against the Pistons, and then a back-to-back against the Raptors.
See, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, you don't have a lot of home games. You got to set the tone for yourself, and of course, You get to play a team that you had struggles against over the past few seasons, and even this season. Man, it's going to be tough because I think they're getting healthy over there too in Chicago.
Yep.
As
This
well,
is
I
the first
know.
time we'll play with Lonzo playing.
Right.
We've had Giddy in there. They've had Levine.
Mhm.
They've had Foos. I think one of their guys missed one game.
Ayo, what is it? The sumo. The
Yeah,
sumo didn't play
he missed
last.
the last game, but I think he played the
Mhm.
first two.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, this
yeah,
will be the first one for Lonzo against us, I think.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to figure out your matchups with there, and then you just hate it because the Hawks are not full strength. You're hoping that DeAndre Hunter will at least be back because you at least feel at least better if Dre is in there compared to I'm saying tonight. Again, because just with their pace and everything, they're going to jack up shots. Lonzo, I'm saying he's going to be feeling good out there. It's going to be good to see Lonzo on the court too as well. I'm saying coming back, but they got to set the tempo for themselves. The Hawks got to find a way, just like they did tonight. The Hawks got to find a way on against the Chicago Bulls as well. You may end up seeing another 35 plus game from Trae Young, depending on who plays, depending on how the flow of the game goes. Hopefully you see another big game from Onyeka, and even if he doesn't give you 21 and 22, you would hope that you would see more from the front court, like when we were talking about like Clint, maybe a little bit more from Ricochet, somebody that we did not see a whole lot of on the West Coast trip. I thought we would see a little bit more of him, but maybe they got him on a pitch count or something like that, or some minutes restriction that for basketball. I'm talking about baseball pitch count, man. Well, but yeah, man, maybe they got him on a minutes restriction or something. And I mean, even with himself, he only gave you 2 points tonight, but his energy was on the other end. Okay, he had to guard KD just about all night. And KD was giving them KD was in his bag. He was giving them the spin moves. He was giving them the jab step. He was giving them everything. And so the rookie, and since 2025 has started, Zachary Ricochet has been pulling out his book and taking down a lot of notes. Okay, because he's been having to go up against a lot of stars, a lot of more than formidable opponents, straight up superstars, and having to guard them. So this is great reps for Zach. So moving forward, I know when the season is over, Zach is going to be like, "Whoo, what a first year!" So, but it's going to be good for him. It's going to be good for him, and hopefully, he translates that and to be good for the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, definitely, man. So definitely, we'll have to see how our Hawks do. Obviously, be at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I believe, tomorrow against the Bulls. So a little bit hour, about 30 minutes later than usual. But still not too bad tomorrow for sure, man. But I think that's about it for us. Chris, I appreciate you hopping on to the Believe in Hawks, man, episode to talk about this win tonight as the Hawks get back on the winning side of things. Let people know where they can find you.
Okay, one quick thing before we get ready to go. The Hawks are now 4-0 when a player has 20 games. 4-0. You got 3 from Trae, and we won all 3 of those games. Now you got 1 from 00, and we won the game as well. And I believe he was like the first. I'm not sure about
he was the first center in franchise.
Yeah, coming off the bench to get that stat. I think it was something like that. I don't know. You may be able to get to it quicker than me, but yeah, I know it was something. It was some great stat like that. Like coming off the bench, he was like the first center in franchise history, something like that.
Yeah, first franchise history recorded 2020 game off the bench.
See what I'm saying? But yeah, man, 4 games, 4-0 now, undefeated. Keep getting those 2020 games, Hawks. They can't beat us. They can't do nothing with us. But yeah, man. A1forever Sports, man. That's the platform on YouTube. Please come over, like, comment, and subscribe. Help us get out there in the YouTube algorithm so other fans can know that, hey, man, it's a guy over there named Chris Tipmore. He likes to talk Atlanta Hawks as well. And they can, find the channel and become a part of the A1 family. Twitter, Instagram, A1forever, and the real A1forever on TikTok. Again, thank you for having me on, Bryce. I always love, having a Hawks conversation with you. It's been a minute. We got to do this again, man. We got to get you over to the A1forever channel as well, man.
Yes, sir, man. Hey, man, you may not be able to say that TikTok one much longer.
I know, right? We're gonna
Crazy,
see.
crazy
We're gonna
stuff,
see
man.
what happens come January 20th. I may have to take that one off.
I'm crying. Yeah, for a lot of people. But yeah, guys, y'all already know, man. Believe in Hawks, man. Appreciate all y'all tuning in, letting us be a part of your day. If you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button, like on YouTube, leave a comment down below about any of the discussion points that we had. If you have any thoughts on the game tonight, definitely want to hear from you guys. Audio listeners, same thing. Leave a comment. Leave a rating, leave a review, tell your friends about Believe in Hawks as we continue to grow the pod and we continue to move forward from the Believe network. And obviously, guys, you can follow me on Twitter and all social media at Bricey_2K, BRICEY_2K. So I think that's about it for us. That is Chris. I'm Bryce. See you next time.